We're back.
All right, well, we're back, guys. Sorry for the delay. Skype is being quite a pain in the ass. I don't know if I can say that, but I did it anyway. We're back now, and we're going to jump right back into pitching here. Boggs, you were talking about some of your secondary pitching options instead of Price and Strasburg tonight. People didn't want to spend up with pitching, so let's jump right back into that and tell us who you like there.
Yeah, before Skype was being a pain in the ass for us, I was talking about Corey Kluber and James Shields. They're about $1,500 cheaper than Price and Strasburg, and I really think they're in great spots, especially on FanDuel where the win is so important. You've got Kluber, who's a strikeout machine, has fantastic numbers at home this season. Had a couple of mediocre starts here in a row, but you take a look at those home numbers. He's got 59 strikeouts in 50 innings. This Detroit team is running very cold. He had a very good outing in his last outing against them. Didn't pick up the win, but I really like how Cleveland's coming off an emotional walk-off victory, and they're looking to really make Detroit pay by the way they're playing. So I'm liking Kluber. Little weather concerns in that game. Monitor that situation. And then as far as James Shields is concerned, he's an ace. He's the ace of their staff. He's a bulldog. He's a guy that likes to go deep into the games, can rack up the strikeouts, and he gets this lackluster Mariners offense at home. I really like the way that Kansas City has been playing of late, obviously coming off a big sweep of Detroit. They're in first place right now, and they're going to continue to roll as long as they can and try and build up as big of a lead as they can, before they start to come back down to earth. So I know it's not the most ideal matchup going against Iwakuma, but this team is hitting the ball very well. Shields can definitely go deep into that game, and like I said, I really like their prices, both Shields and Kluber. I like them so much so that I wouldn't mind either in a cash game tonight, to be honest with you. I really think that they're just in great spots, pitching at home where they're comfortable, plenty of K potential. You don't really have to worry about them being so efficient, perhaps giving up a walk or two or a couple hits. You just got to see them rack up those Ks and get that all-important victory. So I'm liking these two guys as my kind of middle-tier options. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I like Kluber. He can really rack up the Ks at home. Detroit, everyone thought Detroit was going to be really scary, and they just can't. They're just not hitting right now. So I guess the time to attack them is right now. Normally you're not going to take pitchers against Detroit, but I would lean Kluber over Shields. I think tonight, especially on FanDuel, because the win's a little more important, and he's a slight more, he's a little bit more of a favorite than Shields is tonight. On the efficiency sites, maybe on a DraftKings or a DraftStreet, I would love throwing me some big game James in my lineups tonight against Seattle. Seattle just isn't, they're not a very good offense despite their record. They're doing pretty good, but their offense just isn't top. They're staying on top due to their pitching. So I don't mind either one of those on FanDuel. I think I might lean Kluber a little more for the win, but I love Shields on some of these efficiency sites tonight. If you're scrolling down a little bit here, some guy that's on my radar if I'm trying to save some cash tonight, especially on FanDuel, where the win's so important, is Garrett Richards. He's 7,500. He's a massive favorite, almost as big of a favorite as Price is. I think he's around 180, 185 favorite against this Texas team. He's at home in Los Angeles. Give me your opinion on him tonight.
I'm obviously a huge fan of Garrett Richards, being an Angels fan. He's a guy that has so much potential each and every time he steps on the mound. He is a big favorite tonight. The one thing that worries me about him, tonight on FanDuel is we saw it again just yesterday. This Angels bullpen is, just seemingly like they want to blow a lead every single game. It's just miserable. So unless Richards really goes 8, 9 innings, I'm not going to feel confident about that win. Though I do anticipate him getting enough run support to do so. So it's more of a GPP play for me, and similar to what you said about Shields on an efficiency site, that's where I'm looking to play Richards tonight because you really don't have to worry about the win on an efficiency site. You just want to see him rack up a ton of Ks. I don't think he'll perhaps get as many Ks, but he's definitely going to limit the damage because Texas is very banged up. They still don't strike out very much, like I said, but He definitely should pitch well enough to put his team in a position for the win. I'm just concerned that if this Oakland team makes him work and he's out of there by the seventh inning, that anything can happen with that Angels bullpen. So always keep that in mind. Richards doesn't have the best numbers at home this season, which is kind of strange, pitching in a very pitcher-friendly Angel Stadium. But I really think he's in a good spot. He's just got so much confidence out there on the mound. He's throwing 97. He's got command of his nasty hook. So he's when he's on, he's close to unhittable. So that's why I prefer him a little bit more on an efficiency site, simply based on the bullpen. But either way, at $7,500, he's not going to be that cheap for that long.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, I like him tonight in a start against Texas. You should like him too going to the game. I'd throw him in there, throw an Angel stack, and have some fun while you're at the game. That seems like a great GPP play for you. You can really enjoy the game. Any of these other pitchers, there's a couple other down here I'm kind of looking at. Henderson Alvarez is 7,200. You go down a little more, and you have the extremely underpriced Jamie Garcia at 6,200. Do either of those guys hit on your radar tonight?
Yes. I'm liking Jaime Garcia. I know that the Phillies have surprisingly, hit pretty well against left-handed pitching this year. But pitching at home, against A.J. Burnett, who hasn't been that good and it won't be that good tonight, in my opinion, against a very patient offense in St. Louis. I don't have a problem with Jaime Garcia. I think he's going to be very highly owned, but it's more of a GPP play for me because of how bad the St. Louis offense has been. So I don't really think he's really safe for a win. Similar to Richards, I'm going to be targeting him and his kind of cheaper price on some of these efficiency sites around the industry. But either way, I really think he's in a good spot. He's pitched well in almost every single game since coming back from injury. And then, there's no reason to assume why you can't rack up, a few Ks here and there against guys like Ryan Howard and, Dominic Brown if he's in the lineup. So, liking Jaime Garcia. And then I missed who that other guy you were mentioning was?
Henderson Alvarez for the Marlins tonight going against Dice K at home.
Yeah, that one I'm a little cautious about, or I would be a little bit cautious about. It's kind of buyer beware for me with Henderson Alvarez. Obviously he has fantastic home numbers, and he gets a Mets offense that hasn't been doing much of anything this year. But you look at that lineup that the Mets are rolling out. They got Eric Young Jr. at the top, and then he's got to get through Murphy, Wright, Granderson, and Abreu. In addition to not serving up anything to Lucas Duda, who could hurt him. I really think that if Eric Young Jr. gets on base today with Saltalamacchia catching, he's going to be off to the races. So he could be pitching in some of these high leverage situations throughout this game. And with very patient hitters in the lineup like Murphy and Abreu, even Duda to some degree. I don't know if he's going to really go deep into this game, and I don't know if he's going to really rack up those Ks. That being said, I do think he's going to get a ton of run support because Dice K on the opposing side is awful, and Miami is kind of my sneaky stack of the day, if you call it that. But I would be a little cautious about Henderson Alvarez. I know he's got a very attractive price, but that's pretty much my reasoning why. I to be honest with you, would kind of lean towards Dan Herron at that same price, despite how average he's been. On FanDuel, you're looking for a win, and to kind of go deep into that game, there's no reason why Dan Herron can't do that tonight. Obviously, won't be racking up the Ks since those have kind of fallen off the table here of late, but pitching in a park that he's comfortable pitching in against the league's worst offense, I would give the bump to Herron over Henderson Alvarez. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like Herron. San Diego's historically bad. Any pitcher going against San Diego is a target for me. That's the lowest over/under of the day. I think it was at 6.5 last time I looked. So Vegas is saying a real low-scoring game. It's basically a pick 'em right now against Ian Kennedy. What do you think about him in that matchup going against the Dodgers? It's basically a pick 'em. You going to be on him at all?
No. To put it simply, I'm not really a believer in Ian Kennedy. I know he has been good, especially at Petco Park, But that one, I'm not going to mess around with that because this Dodgers offense, as bad as they've been of late, are starting to get a little bit healthier. And, I can easily see them coming in and knocking Kennedy around a bit. So I'm not on Kennedy. One guy I'm really concerned about, and I really didn't get a good read even off his last start. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on is Matt Latos tonight. What do you think about him?
Toronto isn't that good of a hitting. They're a lot different animal on the road, but the Great American Ballpark is also a pretty hitter-friendly park. Latos, he wasn't that great in his first outing. He did all right. I'm gonna tend to stay away from him tonight. I think he's what is he, $8,000. I mean, I'm gonna be spending up to some of the Klubers, the Shields, or the Strasburgs or Prices, or I'm gonna be spending down to Garrett Richards or Garcia. Latos just scares me versus Toronto in the hitter-friendly ballpark. For the 8,000 price, I'm going to be staying away from him. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I really think he's going to fly under the radar in these GPPs, but for only $300 more, to be honest, I really think that Shields and Kluber are, going to find themselves under 10% owned in some of these GPPs. So I really don't think, having Latos, despite the potential, is a risk I'm going to be taking, especially since there's just so many other pitching options that you pretty much know what you're going to get from.
Yeah, certainly in a GPP, I could see someone rolling out Latos, but in cash games, I think there's much safer options if you spend up or you spend down than using Matt Latos tonight.
I'm with you.
So any other pitchers on your radar? A lot of these guys, down at the bottom here, Matsuzaka, Hendricks, Birdman, Saunders. I have no interest in any of these guys. Nolasco. I'm staying away from the bottom of the barrel. Any one of these cheapies pique your interest tonight?
Nah, not at all. It's not a night where you really have to go all the way down because there are options like Garcia and Dan Heron who are very moderately priced. And I'm not going to be even sniffing any of those guys near the bottom.
Yep, me too. So I think that's going to round up pitching for us. Let's move on to catcher. There's one guy at the top here who gets to go to Coors. He's $4,700, who's been on fire. Jonathan Lucroy. If you're going the cheaper routes at pitcher, I think you can easily fit him into your lineups tonight. He would be my top play at catcher tonight. What do you think about that?
I've got Lucroy as a close second for me tonight. He's definitely in play going into Coors. I've repeatedly said, even though I continue to be proven wrong, that I'm not a believer in the fact that the first game in Coors, it's good to fade these teams and the under is going to hit.
Let me interrupt you 1 second. As I think you play baseball, or you used to play baseball, and I read somewhere the Brewers are in the middle of they played 20 games in 21 nights. What kind of an effect does that have on a baseball player?
Well, these guys, obviously when you go through your training during the season, baseball is completely different from football. You're all about stamina, and you're not really going for explosiveness. So these guys, it's really not that big of a deal to me. And, both Lucroy and Braun got a day off. They're going to get their days off here and there. Lucroy, he's still moderately young. He's not like he's 35 years old, and he's got some squeaky old knees. I'm not really concerned that they do have, a ton of games in a row here. I'd be a little bit more concerned about the guys in the bullpen. If they get one of these, one of these guys blow up, and they're gonna have the bullpen's gonna be taxed. But as far as the players are concerned, they've got the world-class treatment, stretching, massages. They're gonna be hydrated. I really think it's not so much an issue for not a young, but guys that are kind of in the prime of their careers. Perhaps you can make the case that Ramos Ramirez might need a day off here and there, but either way, I'm not concerned about Lucroy. That being said, I don't have him as my top option. I got him as number 2. More of a price play, but I'm all over Derek Norris tonight. His numbers versus left-handed pitching are pretty gaudy. He's got an OPS over 1,000 dating back to last season. Expect him to be hitting 5th, perhaps even 4th or 3rd in that lineup tonight. Who knows what Bob Melvin's going to do. but I'm going to really be targeting these A's bats, especially the guys that tend to not get pinch hit like Norris, because I don't expect old Felix Doubront to make it out of the third inning in that game.
Yeah, he just came back off the DL. I looked at his last minor league start. It looked like he racked up a bunch of Ks in that. But AAA is a lot different than the major leagues and a lot different than the Oakland Athletics. So I'm all aboard you with that Norris pick tonight. I really like Lucroy. Any of these Brewers, all the Rockies, they're all in play for me tonight as well. If you're trying to save some money at catcher, who are some guys a little down here that you might be looking at tonight?
Well, kind of going down the list, not so much saving. A couple more moderate plays that I like. If you're into BVP, Buster Posey absolutely owns Josh Colementor, and that's because Buster Posey likes hitting batting practice, and that's what Colementor serves up. I think he's got a nice, attractive price. I can't fault you for liking Miguel Montero, and Pepsi's boy, Devin Mesoraco, is still too cheap for his potential. Always like taking him more in GPPs, but either way, you can't really ignore how well he's been swinging the bat this season. And after slumping a bit, he's really picked it up of late. So those are my top mid-tier guys. Going down the list, you do have Carlos Ruiz if you're not on Jaime Garcia. I haven't seen if that lineup's out. He could be batting second tonight for the Phillies. Either way, against a lefty, that's always when I like to target Ruiz. And then going down here, where was he? Saltalamacchia is probably my top value option. $2,400. I really think a lot of people have not noticed that he's back in the lineup. And at $2,400 against a right-handed pitcher, a very hittable one in Daisuke, I think Saltalamacchia is probably going to be my top value option.
Yeah, I have Salty in almost all my FanDuel lineups right now. He hits better as a lefty, and he's going up against Daisuke, who, he didn't have it at all his last start. Daisuke could be out of this game really quick. They get into the bullpen. Could lead to a lot of runs for the Marlins tonight. So I love that play. Also, as a complete punt, Kurt Suzuki, I think, will be in the lineup. He's 2,200. And then a couple other, you had mentioned Ruiz, 2,800. And then some guy, I'm looking at tonight is Chris Iannetta, 3,100 versus Joe Saunders. You're going to be at that game, and I think you're going to see, a lot of the Angels kind of running around the base paths. What do you think about Iannetta tonight?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Iannetta. He's a little bit more pricey than I would like him to be, but he is a very patient hitter. He can draw a walk. He has some power. He's probably going to be batting seventh, or probably seventh in that lineup tonight. And Angel Stadium, it's not the the easiest place to hit home runs. Obviously, Iannetta does have the power to do so. But to be honest with you, I'd be a little bit more inclined to, go up a little bit to perhaps a Devin Mesoraco, like I said, or a Posey, if you can. But if you're around that $3,100 range, I don't believe that Willen Rosario will get the start tonight. John Jaso is the same story. Brian McCann, he's very hit or miss. So if you're around that $3,100 range and you need someone, Iannetta would be my guy. And I would say I like him a little bit more than Ruiz, but so that's pretty much my take on him. I would try and spend up a little bit more if you could, but if you can't, I certainly have no issue playing Iannetta.
Are you buying into the Brian McCann resurgence? He was pretty horrible all season. Then he comes through this with the one game and has a really great game, and a lot of people seem to be back on him. I'm not buying it. Are you?
Well, I mean, he is who he is. He's gonna be rolling over ground balls into those shifts all day long. You just got to wait for his pitch. I don't really think it's him changing his approach or anything. He sees that short porch in Yankee Stadium and he tries to hit a home run. That's why they pay him the big bucks. They don't pay him the big bucks to bunt for singles, or come up with a clutch a clutch hit here and there. But he's always been pretty much a GPP play for me, and it's really hit or miss with him. I think a lot of people were more on him because of his price being down than really buying into him kind of turning things around. But either way, he's He is who he is. I would definitely be more comfortable playing Ionetta over McCann, but Ubaldo, he's kind of the same way, really boomer bust. So if you're on the Yankees, I would definitely not leave off McCann because of his potential, but I don't really think that there's anything to really dive in about regarding
Yeah,
him.
in my cash games, I'm going to be off of him. I'd go to Ionetta, yeah, even Molina at 3,200, or I'd spend up for, I like Montero tonight or some of these other guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm with you.
then use McCann. I think we hit on everyone. Just quick thoughts on Molina at 3,200. He was down in price around 29, 2,800. They seem to have bumped him up a bit. Any interest in him versus Burnett tonight?
With so many other options, it's not a terrible play for me. Obviously, he had been struggling big time. Still kind of is, but he's got 4 games in a row with a hit here. It's a tough one because Burnett can be effective, especially against right-handed pitchers. So I would be more inclined to, like I said, go up $100 for a Mesoraco who's just got a lot more potential in a better hitter's park against a worse pitcher than really rolling the dice on Molina tonight.
Yep, I'm with you there. Let's move on to first base here, and we have the most insane BVP I've ever witnessed in my life with Goldschmidt versus Lincecum tonight. But at 5,300, there's a lot of options as I scroll down here at first base. It's always a stacked position. Are you going to be spending up on Paul Goldschmidt tonight?
Um, it's a tough one. I really wish that they had his price down, like in the $4,500 range,
Mhm.
because then I would say it would be just an easy fade. But with his price at 5,300, I think you'll see his ownership pretty much as you would against a lefty at home, which will be up there, but obviously has the potential. I'm gonna try and fit him into my lineup. I do like a few other guys that I have overall a little bit higher than Goldschmidt, believe it or not. But I am a BVP guy, and those numbers they speak for themselves. He absolutely owns Lincecum, and it might be to the point where Lincecum just understands and realizes it. But either way, with Montero behind him, I think he's got enough protection that Lincecum won't be able to pitch around him tonight. So I think he's definitely in play. The price is very steep, but it's that way for good reason because he's coming in, swinging the bat well, hitting in a very hitter-friendly park. Goldschmidt is my top option, but I'm not going to force him into my lineups.
Yeah, I mean, there's options at every price point on FanDuel tonight at first base, all the way down to 2,200. There, you got Joe Mauer all the way down there at 2,200 tonight. So, let's get a quick rundown. With the difficulties we had earlier, we're gonna have to start blasting through these. So, give me a couple of picks you like at first base, and then I'll throw in a couple of mine, and we'll move on to second.
Well, kind of up in that top tier of guys, I'm not really looking that route tonight. Kind of going down like you said, there's really guys at every price point. I think Joey Votto's definitely in play against Liam Hendricks. He's more of a cash game play for me. But one guy that I'm going to be targeting in tournaments, and kind of he's not really so boomer bust, but I know he's going to fly under the radar, is Adrian Gonzalez. I have him as my number 2 option of the entire night at first base. A lot of people always get scared off by Petco Park, but Adrian, he spent many years down there in San Diego, and over his career has an OPS well over 1,100 at Petco Park. So he's very comfortable hitting there. The fans, they love him still. They're obviously so sad. I thought it was a ridiculous trade, them getting rid of him. They should have made him the franchise player. Born and raised in San Diego, against Ian Kennedy, a guy that he can hit. I think that at $3,400, sorry, Adrian Gonzalez for tournament play is a safe option that won't burn you, and if you can get a hold of one, could definitely be a moderate source that will fly under the radar.
Yeah, I like that, especially in a tournament because at the same price you have Justin Morneau, who I think if people are spending 3,400 on a first baseman tonight. I think it's going to be Morneau. I like him in cores. What do you think about him tonight?
Yeah, I have Morneau, up there right behind Votto. It's my number 4 option. Um, He's going back to cores where he likes to hit in his short career against Marco Estrada, who's been serving up the long ball all season long. I think Borneau's in a
I
fantastic
think
spot.
his middle name is HR.
Yeah, and yeah, I think he's in a tremendous spot. Another guy that will probably be the second highest owned if Goldschmidt doesn't make his way into a lot of people's lineups tonight. So either way, in Coors Field, he's in a great spot, and I've got him as my number 4 option.
Yeah, so a couple other plays. Let me roll through some of the guys I'm thinking about here tonight. I got your boy Pujols versus Saunders at 3,800. I like him. Saunders, he's pretty good against the lefties, but all these righties in Anaheim tonight, I'm liking them. And if you're going to be at the game, maybe I'll throw Pujols in a game or two so I can sweat it out with you. What do you think about most of these other Yankees lefties, like Teixeira, and we'll get to some of the other positions. But I like Teixeira tonight. Matt Adams, 3,100 versus Burnett. I think some people will be on him tonight. You keep going down. You got Joe Mauer even at 2,200 if you're looking to punt versus Noesi. I think is a great play if you're trying to save some money. I think Swisher should be in the lineup at 2,300 too versus Porcello. I mean, there's picks everywhere, and there's also we got Napoli and Ortiz versus Mills for Oakland, who it looks like Oakland bought him for $1 from the Brewers. Do you know anything about this Mills character pitching for Oakland tonight?
I know that he's not going to be very good, and I'm expecting a lot of runs in that game tonight and out there in Oakland. So who knows? I mean, he's making a spot start. Pomeranz obviously a little banged up. It is what it is. But yeah, a lot of runs in that game. I think I would lean towards Napoli though. And one guy I want to bring up really quickly here, and I know there's so many options at first base, but I think what kind of similar with my theory on Adrian Gonzalez, Brandon Moss is someone that I think could win someone a GPP tonight, and let me explain why. Obviously, they'll probably be batting sixth, against the lefty Morales. But if you're like me and don't think Morales is going to make it through, 6 innings in that game or 4 innings in that game, it's going to turn into a bullpen game. And Mossie's shown he can hit lefties. I know it's not in the most ideal hitting situation, but he's going to be probably under 3% owned in your big GPPs tonight, especially with you can only pick 4 guys, and I think a lot of people would perhaps lean to stack the right-handed bats. So I'm curious to see his ownership tonight and see what he does, because if Franklin Morales only goes 3 innings, or if he doesn't even make it out of the first inning, he should have his way with some of these weak right-handers that Boston has in their bullpen. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, it's a good point. If it turns into a bullpen game, it's could be home run city for Brandon Moss tonight. He's got the power, even in Oakland, to hit home runs, at will. Let's move on to second base here. I'm fading, at least on FanDuel, that we got the top guy, Jose Altuve. He's a lefty masher, but against David Price, I'm not buying him tonight. What are your thoughts on Cano over Shields? I know you're high on Shields tonight. What do you think about Cano?
I think he's decent for your cash games. Never someone I really target in GPPs, especially he hasn't been hitting the ball for power in Seattle. He's not going to do it in Kauffman Stadium, which yields the least amount of home runs every year. So if you're looking for perhaps a double, a few walks, probably won't burn you. I don't have a problem paying up for Cano, but my top option is Rendon, and it's really not even close. I'm with you. I'm not on Altuve, and in GPPs, I'm not going with Cano, not going with Utley. Dozier is in play, but I'm liking Rendon and what he's been doing against left-handed pitchers all season long as my top option.
Yeah, I like Rendon, 3,800. He's a little pricey, but he's shown that he has upside to get you 10 FanDuel points on any given night and can really rack up the points for you. And I like that a lot of these Washington right-handers tonight against Miners. So if you're putting a stack in there, make sure you get Rendon in. You were on Adrian Gonzalez. Are you on Dee Gordon at 3,700?
Yeah, definitely. Ian Kennedy, he can be stolen off of, and especially if Yasmani Grandal is in the lineup tonight. With a lot of people seeing Scooter Gennett and seeing at Colorado, I think both Dee Gordon and Anthony Rendon can fly under the radar. And I actually might pivot from Rendon to Dee Gordon if Yasmani Grandal is catching. Obviously, Rene Rivera for San Diego, he's the defensive guy. I think he'll get the start. But if D. Gordon up against with Ian Kennedy, a guy who can walk guys, he can get on and be off to the races. So I'm liking D. Gordon as well. I have a little bit of a problem paying up $3,700 for Scooter Gennett tonight.
Yeah, his price jumped up. You know, he used to be the $2,200 man, and then they priced him up, and then he's got a big price jump today. You know, he finally, you know, maybe they overcompensated slightly for it. But I kind of like when they push some of these, you know, guys that are performing up, especially in cores. It makes sense if they were doing it for cores tonight. So I'm going to have a trouble getting a Scooter in my lineup for 3,700, just like you. When you know, below him there's some options. Kipnis is 3,500, or you can go Gordon, Dozier, or Rondon for a little bit more proven guys.
Yeah.
What do you think about you know, we got Howie Kendrick at 3,200. We got Phillips at 3,100. What are your feelings on those guys? And then you know, any cheap guys that you're looking at tonight at second?
Yeah, I think Howie's definitely in play. Obviously, turned things around in a big way. You know, as I said, it's about his approach. And you know, Saunders, a guy who's, you know, can struggle against right-handed bats, throws that soft stuff. Howie's just sitting back on it. You know, it could be a good night for Howie. I also think Pedroia is in play against you know, lefty Mills, like we said. Obviously, squeaked a home run last night. Don't expect that again tonight, but either way, there's no reason why he can't have a big night. And then even Aaron Hill and Brandon Phillips, they're definitely in play for me, and Daniel Murphy for that matter. Guys that are very Murphy, more of a cash game play, but Phillips has the upside. Same with Hill with their power. Kind of going down the list, you know, there's really not too many mid-tier guys that I'm liking tonight, but all the way down near the bottom, you do have Danny Espinosa. Haven't seen Baltimore's lineup. You got Ryan Flaherty in there, but yeah, at $2,200, I'm leaning towards Flaherty and Brian Roberts. Both guys batting eighth. Flaherty has the potential for a home run. Roberts, we saw last night, has the potential for steals. Ubaldo can be stolen off of rather easily. Hundley, not the, you know, greatest defensive catcher in the world, doesn't have the best arm. I think that if you're looking to punt the position, you know, both Flaherty and Roberts are in play for me.
Yeah, I had Roberts at 2,200 versus Ubaldo as you know, my main punt if you're going to punt at second base. What's your feelings on Kipnis? You know, he's, you know, the power hasn't come back yet from his injury. He doesn't have a home run yet, but he's been pretty consistent against Porcello, who seems to struggle versus lefties at 3,500. What's your take on him tonight?
I like him more than Gennett. I wouldn't rank him higher than D. Gordon or Rendon, but he's definitely in play for me. You know, you said it right. He really hit a home run. Hasn't flashed in the power, but you know, against Rick Porcello, if he gets on base, you know, Rick Porcello is very wild. So guys like Bourne, it can be stolen off. If he could have plenty of RBI opportunities in this game, I definitely like in Kipnis. You know, I'm a big fan of his. And $3,500, you know, I'm curious to see what Gennett's percent ownage is tonight, because I think unless I'm stacking Milwaukee, I'm going to have 0% of him at that price.
Yeah, I would spend down to Kipnis. He's just a little more proven, or Kendrick, or even, you know, some of these punt guys we just talked about, like Roberts, if instead of using Scooter at 3,700. But I do think Scooter's going to have a decent ownership tonight, just because the Coors Field effect, and he's been producing.
And there's nothing to say that Scooter Gennett can't have a good game, but I just don't think he's worth $3,700.
No, I'm with you on that. Maybe 34, 33, something like that. I'm glad they raised his price. Might just be a little too expensive for my blood tonight.
Yeah.
Let's move on to third base here. You know, tell me who some of your top plays are on. You know, pricing wise, you know, the top play. I'm going to be staying away from a lot of these Texas bats, so I'll be off Beltre against Richards. But Todd Frazier has just been lighting the world on fire. He's 4,100. So is Lonnie Chisenhall, and then you got Josh Donaldson right below them. If you had to rank those three tonight, rank them for me.
I'll make it even easier. Josh Donaldson is the only third baseman I would pick tonight. It's that simple. You know, a lot of people, I don't think he's going to be as highly owned as he normally would against a weak left-hander. But I've been watching this team closely the last two games, and Donaldson's been on. He's got his timing back. He obviously had missed a laser home run by about 4 inches last night off the top of the wall. Hit every single ball hard. Didn't swing and miss at any pitches that I saw. And a guy that has multiple home run potential at a discounted price from what we've seen it. I mean, he was close to 5K or maybe even over 5K, for a while. And the results, if you look at his game log, it's not that impressive. But let me tell you, he has been absolutely he's dialed in again. And against Felix Doubront, I'm making it easy on myself and going with Donaldson.
Yeah, the price discount there for me really has me in there. Like you said, he was 4,800. He might have even been over 5,000 on FanDuel. He was struggling for a little while. He's got a hit in what's he got here? 5 straight games. So he's starting to make contact. You watch the games pretty well. I'll trust you that if he's hitting he's hitting all these lasers, he's seeing the ball good. I'm going to be penciling in him to my lineups if I can fit him in there. No one else. I mean, you don't even like Aramis at 3,100 in Coors tonight?
I do, but I mean, I'm really starting my lineups off with Norris and Donaldson. Man, it's making it easy on me. I really think that they have the best matchups. You won't have to worry about Donaldson getting pinch hit for like some of these other A's bats. A guy that like Moss has the power to hit it out there in Oakland, and kind of going down from there. I think Pablo Sandoval's in play. He always seems to show up when the Giants go to Chase Field. And I do like Aramis Ramirez. He's got a $3,100 price, but like I said, kind of similar to Jeanette, it's going to be way highly owned, and so much so that I'll venture to say that he's close to 30% owned in some of these big tournaments. Which you always got to kind of question, if he does go for 4 somehow. You're going to have a huge edge taking a guy like Donaldson if he goes off. So always keep that in mind. But yeah, I don't hate Aramis Ramirez, but like I said, I'm pretty much going to have Donaldson in almost every one of my lineups.
Yeah, let me throw a couple more, cheaper plays at you. We got Gillespie at 2,900 versus Nolasco. I like these White Sox as kind of a stack tonight. I'm not a believer in Nolasco at all. And we got David Freese all the way down there at 2,300 versus the lefty. What do you think of those two guys?
Yeah, I'm with you on both of them. Gillespie obviously doesn't have any home runs, but he can, he can hit for average and score some runs, especially against Ricky Nolasco. I don't think he's going to get one tonight because it's not an easy place to hit home runs in Minnesota, but the matchup certainly plays in his favor, and he's got a very moderate price. So as more of a cash game, cheaper option if you're for whatever reason not on Aramis in your cash games, and then Freese, GPP only play, but he's getting a soft tossing lefty, which is the type of pitcher that he likes to crush. I'd like to see where he is in the lineup. He'll probably be 6th behind Kendrick, so he should definitely if he's going to turn things around here, it's a perfect opportunity to do so against Joe Saunders.
Yeah, there's not much else for me at third base tonight. I'm all aboard the Donaldson train. I do like Frazier and Chisenhall, but I think I would spend down for Donaldson. And then if I'm going some different route, I'm going to be spending down even more to Aramis and maybe mixing up with Gillespie a little bit in my cash games.
Yep, sounds good.
So let's move to shortstop. And I don't know if you know about this guy. There's a guy named Troy Tulowitzki, and he's hitting at home against Estrada tonight. What are your odds of him hitting a home run tonight?
Pretty high. So much so that he's one of the few guys in all of baseball that even if he's going to be 80% owned, I still won't fade him. And I'm going to try my hardest to get him in all my lineups as well, similar with Donaldson and Norris. It's going to be tough because his price is up, and he really isn't coming in swinging a hot bat. But at home against Marco Estrada, it's certainly Tulo time, and I'm all over him tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to be trying to get him in my lineups, but with some of the other people I like tonight, I'm not sure if he's going to make all of them. I'm eyeing some of these mid-tier guys like Asdrubal, Alexi Ramirez, and Lowry tonight in the mid-tiers. What do you think of those guys? And then, give me throw a couple other names at us that got your interest tonight.
I think that Jose Reyes is in a decent spot. I know he's kind of been burning people, especially those Toronto stacks of late. But he can rack up a few stolen bases. If he can get on, Latos is very easy to steal off of. So I think that my number two option would be Jose Reyes. Not really all over Hanley tonight. He's still kind of dealing with a shoulder injury. Obviously screwed up Clayton Kershaw's perfect game the other night, so I'm just not really happy with him. And going down, I'm not on Ian Desmond. He has not been able to hit off-speed pitches lately, and he's not going to get a single fastball tonight. So that's one guy I would fade. But then I think going down at 3,200, Xander Bogaerts is definitely in play. A guy that has the third highest OPS among all shortstops. He's a doubles and triples machine. He's swinging a hot bat. I'm liking Xander Bogaerts a bit at 3,200. Don't hate Asdrubal Cabrera, and I also don't hate Jed Lowry, despite the fact that he's going to be taking on a weak lefty because, like we said, similar with Moss, these are the few guys that don't get pulled regardless of the situation, and he could easily wind up having himself, 3, 4, maybe even 5 hits tonight. Who knows?
Yeah, Jed Lowry, he likes to hit a little bit better from the right side of the plate than the left side. So against DeBrant making his first start, Lowry's burned me a couple times this year because he hasn't done too well. But if I'm trying to save at shortstop, I think I'm going to be penciling him in. You got, the punt, J.J. Hardy still hasn't hit a home run versus Kuroda tonight. And we got the Coors and Segura, 2,800. Any interest in those two cheap guys?
Not so much. With Segura, he's just kind of been buried deep in that lineup. It's kind of hurts his potential as opposed to when he was at the top of the lineup earlier in the season. It could be a cheap source of steals. Certainly does have a little bit of pop. But if I'm punting, I'm with you. I'm going to go all the way down to J.J. Hardy and really not think twice about it because he has the potential and he very rarely burns you. So who knows when he's going to hit his first home run. Probably won't be tonight. But it's going to come one of these days, and at $2,200, if you need to punt the position, that's where I'm looking.
Yeah, we got one other guy here I want to mention. He's going to kind of fly under the radar because his prices come up. We got Danny Santana of the Twins versus Noesi tonight. He's 3,300. I don't think a lot of people are going to be on him. I think people will spend down to Bogaerts or they'll go up to maybe an Ibar or Reyes or something like that. But what do you think about Santana? He's kind of lit the world on fire since he started playing full time.
He has, and obviously listed as shortstop eligible. A guy that can rack up the steals if he gets on base. Hitting very well, hitting for average as a leadoff man. I think there's going to be some runs in that game tonight as well, similar to this Oakland game. I think there's going to be runs obviously across the the landscape, but I think it could fly under the radar as one of the higher scoring games. At 3,300, especially in a GPP, I don't have a problem with Danny Santana.
Yeah, I like that game for a lot of runs too. So I'll be trying to get some of those White Sox and some of the Twins into my lineups where I can. Let's move on to outfield here. I'm crossing Mike Trout off at $6,000. I can't get him into my FanDuel lineups and anything. It really limits you. What would you think about trying to use him tonight in a cash game or trying to fit him in a GPP possibly?
I don't think he's a must start at that price in your cash games. There's just so many other guys that have equally as good matchups. Despite the way Trout how hot he's been, I think that if you plan on stacking the Angels, that you better not leave him off. But that's really the only situation in which I'll be playing Trout tonight. And it's not going to be easy to really load up around him, but part of an Angel stack. I'll be curious to see his ownership percentage as well.
I think it's going to be pretty low. That 6,000 price tag that's the biggest I've seen this year on FanDuel. That's
yeah.
It really limits you, and I'm going to have zero exposure to Trout on FanDuel tonight, which is kind of crazy.
And I don't follow you for it, but you look at his recent game logs, man. It's
crazy. He's on fire.
Scary. Yeah.
So let's run down I have a laundry list of names here. We got about 5 minutes left. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of them. So instead of breaking it all down by price, why don't you give me some of your top plays in the outfield tonight?
Okay. I think that Stanton is always in play when he's at home. It may seem easy. I'm all over Trout and Stanton, but I really think that he could fly under the radar. Stanton definitely. I don't hate the guys in Coors Field, Gomez, Braun. Going down a little bit more in terms of price, Corey Dickerson is definitely in my top 5 tonight in terms of outfielders, as is Yoenis Cespedes, another Oakland bat that I'm going to have a ton of exposure to. But Dickerson, his price is kind of creeping up, but it's still very manageable, and he's certainly in play when he's at home against a weak righty. Tulo and Dickerson are my top 2 plays from Colorado. Also, I always love Charlie Blackmon, and his price is down, but I would lean Dickerson over Blackmon. And then going down from there, you have Jason Worth, who's up there for me against the lefty. And there was one more kind of moderately priced guy that I was all over tonight. I'll go ahead and let you. Oh, here we go. I got 2 for you. $3,100. Seth Smith, if you're not on Heron, and Jay Bruce, I think, are in good spots at discounted prices as well. So those are kind of my, above 3K range guys that I'm really targeting tonight.
Yeah, I mean, right now in my lineups on FanDuel, my outfield is Dickerson, Blackmon, and then I have Adam Eaton at 27 or 2,800 versus Nolasco. I think we both expect a lot of runs to be scored in that Minnesota-Chicago, the White Sox game tonight. I love me some Adam Eaton at 2,800. He's he's always underpriced on FanDuel. Got Parra at 2,700 versus Lincecum. If he gets on base, Goldschmidt's just going to hit a home run every at bat apparently. So, it's an automatic run for him too. What do you think about some of these Rays lefties versus Cozart tonight? Cozart seems, he's not blowing the world away, but he's had a very consistent season. What do you think about a guy like Joyce, or we have Loney or Kiermaier, or whatever his name is down there, 2,500?
Well, Joyce, for whatever reason, isn't in the lineup, and in a curious decision, Joe Madden has Jerry Sands, of all people, batting 5th and DHing. So I don't know what to think of that.
What's he doing there?
You see something. I will say that Jerry Sands is all the way at the bottom of almost every site.
Yep.
Batting 5th might be a nice GPP play because he does have some pop. But Kiermaier, I mean, he obviously hit the home run last night. He's been swinging a bit of a hot bat, but the last time was the first time I've really seen him, and he just didn't look confident at the plate. He was sitting there talking to himself in between every batter. The guy's a weirdo, and he obviously came through, but he had some gorgeous opportunities earlier in that game in which he struck out both times. So as a cheap play in a GVP, I don't have a problem, but I wouldn't trust guys like that in your cash games by any means.
Yeah, and as far as this Milwaukee-Colorado game goes, you have Gomez and Braun. They're both up there, 4,600 and 4,500. And I'm just, I'm going to the Colorado guys, Dickerson and Blackmon over them, saving a lot of money. Let me try to get Tulo in my lineups. What do you think about the Milwaukee outfield with Gomez, Braun, and Chris Davis as a cheaper option?
To be honest, I really think they're all in play. I'm going to have a few Milwaukee stacks, cross here and there, and I'm not going to be scared off. Like I said earlier, when we were talking about Lucroy about first game in the series, I'm not concerned about the fielders. 20 games in a row. I think that this could be the highest scoring game of the night. And there's no reason to assume why Braun and Gomez can't keep up their hot-hitting ways. So even Chris Davis, I prefer to target him against a lefty, but he's been swinging it against both righties and lefties. And that park is built for his type of swing as a really power line drive guy. So a couple doubles for, even if he can really hit one hard, line drive shot for Chris Davis could certainly be in the cards tonight.
Yeah, any interest in Brandon Barnes at 2.6K?
I think that Stubbs is going to get the start, to be honest with you. I think your outfield's going to be Stubbs, Blackmon, Dickerson tonight.
No, I got the line. I just refreshed the lineups page. It looks like Barnes is in there at 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. I think everyone's in play against Estrada. Barnes, he's a scrappy player, not much power. I don't even know his price because I was expecting Stubbs to be in the lineup. But is he 2,800 still?
He's 2,600. You got a price decrease.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely in play for me.
All right. Well, it's 4:30, Boggs. Anything you want to say to these guys before we head out of here?
Nothing. Just good luck tonight. Go Angels. I'll be at that game. And yeah, go win yourself some money, guys.
All right, stay tuned, guys. We got Draft Cheat and Dean coming up on the 4:30 show for the Draft Street show, and we'll see you next time, Grinders. Have a good night.
Oh, gotta close this out here.